Hey, all right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakah Kodash. I want to say and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching his word in truth and sincerity, for ruling well. Salutations to the elect, Lord willing, we some of those men and women who believe in fear in the name of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and are patiently waiting for the day of salvation, which is also the day of our redemption. Right? Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from James, Hawaii. Come to you with another quick lesson. And this lesson was inspired by this speech right here that you see in front of you. It was made by a man named Benjamin Friedman in 1961. And you've always had whistleblowers trying to warn the people about the nefarious things that was happening. Some of it's set up, right? But first of all, these devils, they have something called a method of revelation, which they got to reveal what they're doing. So sometimes these people that you think is whistleblowers, they just set up to be talking heads to warn the world. And just like the Heavenly Father don't do anything in the earth until he sent his prophets first, and he let his prophets know to warn the people, right? It's the same thing on the left-hand side, as these Edomites on a high level are working with Satan, which Satan works for Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? Satan wasn't, just for a caveat, Satan was never kicked out of the heavens, man. Out of the spirit world. He dwells up there with the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and he's on the left-hand side. Satan is a son of the Most High on the left-hand side, right? That's it. It ain't no war in heaven, like where Satan is fighting against the Heavenly Father. But anyway, sticking to the point, there's a precept where it says, let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I can get it off of memory. But I believe it's either Psalm 68 and 4 or Psalm 64. Psalm 60. Let me see. Psalm 64. Psalm chapter 64. Yep, Psalm 64 and 8. You can't see it, but one of you brothers can post it on the comment board. Psalm 64 and 8. And it says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. And that's what these so-called whistleblowers do, right? They open their mouth and they speak. And a lot of times the elite know that the average Americans, the average people in America, they're not hip to anything that's going on, and neither are they inclined to truly listen. But that's still not to say that you don't have people out there that do listen, right? To the brother GMS Salvation of the Elect, right? But they know that these people that they call themselves whistleblowers that broke away, or they wanted to warn the world, that it wouldn't really have no effect, because their power structure is already set. Everything is set for these people to do what they're doing. And a lot of these things that Esau is doing on the top, they're doing it because the Heavenly Father is making them do it, right? The scripture says the deceived and the deceiver is his, right? So no one is independent of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai on this planet, and that includes our enemies, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, these small hats, these elite banker families who set up men like Benjamin Friedman, Benjamin Netanyahu, all of these different people, Trump, all of these people. They set these people up to make what they want happen, or what they think they want to happen. But in reality, it's what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai wants. And so, I was listening to this video as well as another video, which I'll play in a second. And it made sense because it's happening right now, right? You had something called the Manzini and the Pike and Manzini plan, which we're going to bring out too, which they say that is a conspiracy. It was fake. The so-called British Museum claim that they don't have any letters like that, and of course they're going to deny it, right? Because that's a foolproof plan for what the world wars was going to be about. And right now we're in the early stages of World War III. Everything is being set up, right? All the militaries, the proxies are being set up, the reasons, the cause and the reason for this world war to happen, right? Which is also prophesied in the scriptures, right? And this came out in 1961 and it's 2025, but yet they say this dude was a conspiracy theorist, but in reality, he was an insider. That's all he was. He was an insider. And without any further ado, let me play this real quick.
Act 1 was World War I. Act 2 was World War II. Act 3 is going to be World War III. The Jews of the world, the Zionists, and their co-religionists everywhere are determined that they are going to again use the United States to help them permanently retain Palestine as their foothold for their world government.
And that's exactly what's happening right now. This is predating World War III. If this stuff was a conspiracy, right? Which the word conspiracy is to conspire, is to you basically bringing together, right? You conspiring together with other people. And a theory is something that's not founded. It's just a theory. But this is not a conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy reality. Because this man was speaking about this in 1961, but yet here in 2025, you got this going on. Let's play it again.
Act 1 was World War I. Act 2 was World War II. Act 3 is going to be World War III. The Jews of the world, the Zionists, and their co-religionists everywhere are determined that they are going to again use the United States to help them permanently retain Palestine as their foothold for their world government.
And that's what America is doing. That's why they're turning a blind eye to all that G side. That's why they're not reprimanding Israel for doing all that shit they're doing, because they're not just attacking Gaza, right? They attack Syria, they attack Libya, they just attack Qatar, right? They're attacking all these different nations in the hope that it's going to preemptively stop with the inevitable, which is that whole land is going to be destroyed by nuclear fire, right? But this is all playing in their hands. Right now, as we speak, the U.S. is helping the state of Israel become a permanent foothold in the Middle East, and they claim they want some politicians say they want a two-state resolution. They just saying that because they don't want a two-state resolution, right? They want that to be a permanent foothold. And you want to see another video where Benjamin Netanyahu, he actually said it, that they want to change the whole face of the Middle East, right? Let me play that portion again, because this is what's happening right now. That's why I titled this lesson, "The Stage is Being Set." The stage is being set.
To help them permanently are determined that they are going to again use the United States to help them permanently retain Palestine as their foothold for their world government. Now that is just as true as I'm standing here.
Right, because the world government is going to be really ruled by the oligarchy, the super elite oligarchy, right, which are the shadow government, and they're all small hats, right? They don't care about the land of Israel. They're just using it for prey, right? They're using it to set it up so that other people can attack it and destroy it, right? They don't care. They don't care about them people. They don't care about the average Israeli person that's on that land, right? This is what they don't care about, the fanatic, Orthodox small hats either. They don't, because they don't believe in none of it. They only use it, just like Benjamin Netanyahu. He uses it to forward his agenda and to drum up sympathy and support. All right, and that's what's happening right now. They're using the United States. Why are they not using no other country? Because the United States is the only world superpower right now, currently right now, and the military and it is strong, and they have extreme deep ties to them small hats, man. Because the small hats run them, they own them, right? They own them.
Because not alone have I read it, but many here have read it, and it's known all over the world. Now, what are we going to do? The life you save may be your son. Your boys may be on their way to that war tonight and you don't know it any more than you knew that in 1916 in London, the Zionists made a deal with the British War Cabinet to send your sons to wars in Europe.
Yeah, and that's spiritual too, because the scriptures speak about the Great War and how many of these men in America is going to be shipped off to over here to go fight. You got these YNs running around all crazy. They're going to war, right? You ain't gonna have to worry about fighting here in America each other no more. They're gonna get a lot of these men, because Benjamin Freeman he was saying it like it was going to happen in the 60s, but this was for a time to come. You know, he'd be back in the spirit world by the time this actually happens, if he's not back already. So this is actually happening right now, and it ain't nothing you can do to stop it, because ultimately it's prophecy. Whatever these small hands is doing is only leading to one road, or leading down one road, and that's the road of prophecy. It's not leading down the road of success for the NWO. It's not leading to the road of success of the MOTB. It's not leading down the road of perpetual rulership by the super elite small hats, right? It's not leading to that. It's actually leading to the opposite, which is the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, right? And the heavenly host of angels, and him reestablishing the true children of Israel on the earth, right? See, these people murking up the waters, right? So the world just has this hatred to these people that call themselves the chosen people, right? So that so that the world wouldn't want a chosen people after they see what these people have done. But you're gonna get a chosen people, because the Lord has chosen us, the true children of Yasha Allah, right? He chose us out of all the multitudes on the earth. One of you brothers can get that and post it in the comment board. It's in, I believe it's in either 2nd Esdras 5, I believe it's 2nd Esdras 5, where it speaks about of all the multitudes of the people. The Heavenly Father has chosen one people, and unto this people he's given a law, right? And so this is all part of the stage. Okay, I got another video I want to share. Just bear with me. Got another video I want to share. This is from Salakia. Just bear with me, brothers. Hold on, I'm trying to find this video. I was just watching it. Just bear with me, brothers. I'm about to say don't hang up. You don't hang up. But this is this video right here. Hold on. Right here. This video right here. And this is a day, well, about 2 days ago. All right. This is about 2 days ago. And it says Prime Minister Netanyahu remarks at the 50 States One Israel event. And I want to play a little bit of this. I might jump around a little bit, but I could read the transcript so I can just hit the points quicker. Hold on. Let me see if it has transcripts. Show the transcript, right? So he they raped and murdered, burnt babies alive. Yeah, this dude's he's a straight up propagandist, man. Let me play this.
On October 7th, we were attacked with no provocation by
they were
the Hamas.
They were just innocent, right? These just innocent people trying to live their life in the Middle East and no provocation. Yeah, right, man.
Monsters. They murdered 1,200 of our citizens. They burnt babies alive. They raped and then murdered.
Which that whole babies being burnt was already refuted. But again, this dude's a propagandist, so he got to say what he had to say. But he said that. Let me see if I can find the one portion. He said they want to change the face of the Middle East. Let me see. Yeah, here it is right here. Matter of fact,
on October 8th, Hezbollah joined the fray. They started rocketing our cities. Again, no provocation. I said on that day that we will change the face of the Middle East.
And what they mean by changing the face of the Middle East is Edomite rule, right? Edomite rule, right? Because they have a foothold via the banking systems and the economic system, but they want that land for a reason. They want that land for prey, right? These people really want to establish themselves. And when he said he wanted to change the face of the Middle East, all I heard was an Edomite. We want to make an Edomite face, right? And then he gets to a point in this as well in this where he says that America and Israel share a common civilization. Civilization. Yeah. Right here. Let me see.
Islamist radicals here and around the world say that we are you, we're just a piece of you, and you are us. I disagree with everything they say except this. I think they're right. I think we're part of a common civilization with deep historic roots of common heritage.
And that common civilization is the Edomite civilization. It's not the small hat civilization. It's the Edomite civilization.
When I went to, I've spoken 4 times in the joint session of Congress, and I look at the far wall, and some of you, maybe all of you will end up there, you know. Do you really want to? Well, those of you who are crazy enough to want, I mean, anybody entering politics has got to be insane, but there are quite a few insane people here. So for those of you who go there, or next time you visit the Capitol, just look at what's on the other wall. I'm at the dais, you know, the podium, and I look at the far wall, and what do they have? Moses. Moses. A quote from the Bible.
You see, this dude, he always want to talk about the Bible. He remind me of Louis Farrakhan. They talk about the Bible when it suits them, right? But he don't believe in the scriptures. This dude don't believe in the prophets, right? He definitely don't believe in Messiah that was written about from Genesis all the way to Revelation, right? Including the Apocrypha. These people just be talking, bro. What they want is an Edomite ethno state in the Middle East, where it's controlled, where they have military control all throughout the Middle East. They want to establish the land blessing that's given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the true Israelites and the patriarchs and their descendants. But they want to do it by war. They want to do all of this by their hand, right? They're not depending on the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That shows you too. These are godless people. They didn't even have a God. Their God is the Rothschild, money, Satan, power. They don't believe in the God of the Israelites, man.
About liberty. You remember Moses taking the people of Israel out of bondage in Egypt? Familiar with this story? I'm glad there are enough. We have a common heritage, and that heritage is being challenged now by people who not only want to bring us back to the early Middle Ages.
He said people that not only want to bring us back to the early Middle Ages. What happened during the time of the early Middle Ages? These people were done. One of you brothers can get the book of Job, where it says they were chased. I believe it's Job chapter 30. They were chased as a thief. They were ran off the world stage, right? And who was ruling in the Middle Ages? The true Israelites, right? Particularly the Southern Kingdom, all throughout Europe. And these people, they had no foothold. They were in the mountains. They were in the wilderness, right? They were what was it called? I forget what the guy was called. They call him like something man. I forget. But this guy, but these people were no people on the earth, right? And so they don't want to go back to that, right? They want the suits. They want the world power. They want the nations in captivity. They want the Israelites destroyed, and they want to rule on earth in perpetuity, with everybody else under them as slaves.
By people who not only want to bring us back to the early Middle Ages with incredible fanaticism and cruelty.
And the early Middle Ages with incredible fanaticism, and cruelty.
It's also savagery. The things we encountered on October 7th.
Yeah, so this dude talk about savagery and things like that, but he's the savage. And then, hold on, brothers. Let me stop share. I ain't gonna play the other video. I had another video, but I didn't really finish watching it. But he said something. Well, the title says for itself, right? Oh, Salaki, stop sharing. Salaki, brothers, bear with me. Share window. Right. The title of this video, and it's all from the same conference. 50 states, one Israel. Right? 50 states, one Israel. That's what all of this was taken from. Not this. Yeah, 50 states, one Israel event with like over 120 U.S. delegates came out there. All expense paid trip to the state of Israel, right? To do Lord knows what up there, right? Besides sit here and act like they placating to this dude's needs and wants, right? This dude's feigning himself as some type of ultimate leader, right? The king of Israel, right? This dude is nobody, bro. He's an Edomite, bro. This is a straight up Edomite, man, right? And so anyway, in this video right here, the title of this video is his video right here. It says, Jerusalem is our city. It is forever our city. It will never be divided again. And that's straight up blasphemy, man. Right? Because it don't belong to y'all. Right? And they ain't worried about just the city of Jerusalem, but they know that's gonna be the capital. So he's there in the middle of Jerusalem in this 8-minute video talking shit. And it says, but this country is based on those 2,000 years of yearning. Next year in Jerusalem, it didn't matter if you were in the ghetto in Toledo or the ghetto in Warsaw. That's what Jews pray for next year in Jerusalem. This is our city. It is forever our city. It will never be divided again. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking at the City of David event. Right? So, and that's straight up pride because it don't belong to you. The Lord didn't give that land to you. Right? That land wasn't promised to you. That land was promised to the children of Israel, the real children of Israel, who we are. Right? The ones you call so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, the people that go back to us. That land belongs to us. Right? This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. Who is Idumea? Right here, you're looking at one. This is the Amalekite from the tribe. This is the Amalekite from the tribe of Amalek, who goes back to the nation of Edom, right? And the rest of the heathen that's joined with them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with all the joy of their heart. Going back to the Balfour Declaration, Arthur Balfour was so excited to give Lionel Rothschild that letter to let him know that they had possession of the land of Palestine. And now it's given to you. And now, 2025, their so-called leader today, he's proclaiming loud, Jerusalem is our city. And I believe this is twofold, because the Jerusalem that really matters, the Jerusalem that truly matters, is the children of Israel. We are that city. Jerusalem is a people before it's a place, right? This is the book of Lamentation. Is it Lamentation? Yep, 2:15. Right? It says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Who is the daughter of Jerusalem? We are, the Israelites. When you look at us today, we don't look like a city of perfection because we all jacked up, we all covered in our iniquities, and we being oppressed by by these nations. It says they scoff. In the NLT, it says all who pass by jeer at you, right? And this is not talking about a city, a builded city, right? This talking about a people. They scoff and insult beautiful Jerusalem, saying, is this the city called the most beautiful in the world and the joy of all the earth? Right? And in AMP, it says, all who pass along the way clap their hands in derision at you. They scoff and shake their heads at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that was called the perfection of beauty and the joy of the whole earth, man? So when he says Jerusalem is our city, he's really talking about us being in their captivity. This is what I'm gleaning from that. On top of the fact, their pride and boasting that they have the land. It is forever our city. Where's that in the scriptures? Because you ain't the people. How is it forever yours? It will never be divided again. That's what he said. Right? But you already divided it up. And that's why they're kicking them people. They're trying to kick the people that they came up with that plan with out. You read the book of Job, chapter, is it Job? Joel. No, Joel, chapter 3. Joel, chapter 3, verse 1. It says, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage. Yehoshaphat is the Middle East, what you call the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, all of that area, right? That's where the main theater of war is going to be held at, okay? The Lord's going to plead and he's going to judge. He's going to judge them there for what? For his people, not for the state of Israel. And for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right, these Edomites, when they got hold of the land, they parted it with the Jews, right? The Jews. They parted it with the Arabs, man. So-called, what they call Palestinians, right? Israel map of Israel map 1948, right? Yeah, this is a great image right here. You see this image right here. Before in 1946, this was before they all got over there like that. They were already over there. The white was the small hats, right? In their communities that they had up there. They were mainly centered around what today is Tel Aviv, northern Israel, right? And the Palestinians still had all of this. By 1947, a year later, the state of Israel started to form, and they got more and more of the land. Remember, they split it up between each other. They said that we wasn't going to infringe on your rights of being there and all this other jazz, but they did everything that they said they wouldn't do. That's how the devil rolled, right? And they started spreading across the land, slowly taking it over. Again, it's still split between two nations and other nations too. You got Ethiopians there, you got Moabites there, you got Elamites there, right? You got Hamites there. It's crazy over there, man. It's a free for all. You got Arabs over there worshiping Allah over there at the Rock of the Dome, and you know why they scared to blow that bitch up to smithereens, because they know that if they blow that mosque up, it's gonna be over for them. I think that's like that mosque is like, if not the number one or number two most sacred thing to them Arabs, man. So they won't blow that bitch up because they know it's going to start all hell over there. So what they do is they bring war and they marginalize the people that was already there, which neither one of these people belong in that land. The Lord never gave the land to no goddamn Arabs or Midianites. You ain't never been a part of this blessing. But because we had already been kicked out of the land, for the most part, we've been kicked out of there. What they do, these motherfuckers during the time of Saladin, they took control of that, and the Arabs got into the land, right? But it don't just because you in it don't make it yours, right? So they then in 1949 to 1967, it just got smaller and smaller. It went from being green to white, and then ultimately to the 2012 and even further to today. This is what you have, and they bombing Gaza to hell and back right now, and in all these other little locations right here, this is where Edom people are primarily reduced to be at, right? The West Bank, right here. This is called the West Bank, I believe. This is the West Bank of the Jordan River. I believe that's the Jordan River. So it's called the West Bank. And this is where Jerusalem is, right here and here. You know what I'm saying? So this is what they did, right? Let's go back into Joel. Back into Joel chapter 3, it says, I will also gather, 3 verse 2, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, right? So all 12 tribes have been scattered amongst the nations, but yet all you hear about the Jewish people imparted my land, and we just gave an example of that. And they cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Now going back into what was that preacher that I had? Ezekiel chapter 36. I want to read this word for pray in verse 5, right? That word for pray in verse 5 is baz, right? Baz, right? Which is booty, spoil, robbery, right? And they robbed that land. They plundered it. Everything, all the gold that was in those deep caves and caverns, all the gold, everything that was in there, they took it all. They took everything, even the bones of our relatives, man. They took all of that up. They turned that place into Swiss cheese by digging in the ground, trying to find things, putting it in museums, putting it in private museums and collections, right? That's what they're using the state for. They're using it to rob not only the state but also other nations in the Middle East. That's what they're doing, right? But again, the Lord didn't give that land to them. It don't belong to them, right? No, it was, the brother said, the Neanderthal man. No, it was called, I forget what they call the wild man. The Wadi Yabachon Shah. Yeah, I learned that from Elder Bishop Taz Dakba. The wild man is what they called him. But anyway, the brother posted Job, GMS Taz Dakba, Yahweh the 144K, posted Job 30 and 5. They were driven forth from among men, and they cried after them as after a thief, right? And that's what happened during the early stages of the Middle Ages, man. Right? Job 30 and 6. And the Middle Ages didn't just start in the 1500s and 1400s. That was the latter end of it. Okay? Job 30 and 6. To dwell in the clefts of the valley in caves. And this is when you get to the so-called Neanderthal man of the earth and in the rocks. It says, among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. Right? Verse 8. They were children of fools, children of base men. They were viler than the earth, and that's what we know about these people. They're extremely vile. They're extremely base, right? They don't have no spiritual bone in their body, right? They don't have no spiritual bone in their body, right? Yeah, the wild man of the woods, wood wasp, or woody woes. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start calling these people, because we gotta have we gotta church up our speech, man. Speaking code, the woody woes. That's what I'm gonna start calling these people, man. So I ain't gotta call them by their name, woody woes. And shalom to Elder Yakanan, if he's still listening, brother. The water, man. And he inspired me too, because I believe he did a video on this particular video right here, and he went into that. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the Elder page, man. Children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all do that. Anyway, this is the book of Zechariah, chapter 9, verse 5. Ashkelon shall see it and fear. Gaza also shall see it and be very sorrowful. And Ekron, for her expectation, shall be ashamed. And the king shall perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon shall not be inhabited. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, man. And we already know who that bastard that's dwelling in Ashdod, right? We know. What is this? So this is the an image of which they claim that it's a conspiracy. They say that it didn't exist and it was a lie. That's what they say. But why are these things happening today? Why are these things happening? I'm going to focus on the Third World War, right? It says the Third World. This is from the Albert Pike Manzini plan. This is a letter that Albert Pike supposedly gave Giuseppe Manzini on August 15, 1871. It says the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantages of the differences caused by the agenda of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. And that's what you have happening right now. These differences, they're further inflaming them to go to war with one another, right? And what better way to do it is by the G side that they're doing over here to them Somalians, which these other Arab nations, they scared of Israel. That's why they're not really clicking up against them and gather. And they don't care about them Palestinians anyway, right? But anyway, it says, between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arab world, and the political Zionists, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, what you got that going on right now, mad nations are divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical and moral, spiritual, economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, of the most bloody turmoil, because the state of Israel is an atheistic state. They don't believe in the Most High. They don't believe in that. It was set up to be a secular state. And it says, then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization in a multitude delusion with Christianity, which you're seeing that happen right now, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, which Lucifer is nothing more than the light bearer. It is not Satan. But it's talking about the light, the so-called pure doctrine, which that's not pure doctrine. We have the pure doctrine, right? We have the true religion, which is the word and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. But these people, they have something on the left-hand side, which basically you end up worshiping these super elite. That's what they think. That all this shit's going to happen. They're going to hide in their little bunkers and underground military bases and underwater cities and out in the upper atmosphere. And then when it's all said and done, they're going to come out with a whole new plan and they're going to rule with they weak proxy leadership that they're going to give you, right? Because they don't do no work. They don't want to manage the people directly. They want to do it indirectly, but they think that they're going to come out and they're going to come back on the top. That's not going to happen, nigga. Ain't nobody going to worship you, Edomites. You're done. Brought finally out to public view, this manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. And that's exactly what they're working on, right? That's exactly what they're working on. I see the Elder Yakanan is there. Deuteronomy 23 and 2. I'm going to go get that real quick. Oh, what? Right here. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation. Oh, Deuteronomy 23 and 2. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, even to his 10th generation, shall he not enter into the congregation of Yahweh. And that's what Esau is. He can't enter into the congregation. He ain't even looking to enter it. Right? Jeremiah 30 and 17. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because they have called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. And that's exactly what they say about us, the so-called Negro, so-called Latino, so-called Native American, right? These people, they don't look at us as a people worthy of anything. They don't even look at us worthy of salvation. But guess what? The Lord said, because they have called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, who no man seeketh after. The Lord said he's going to restore health to us. Hosea 6:1. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds. What was our wounds? That those iniquities, those sins that the Lord, he beat us for, saith Yahweh, because they have called thee an outcast. This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Right? Yeah, he about to lose. He's already lost. See, that's the thing. Esau ain't about to lose. He's already lost. It's already accounted for in the scriptures, right? When you go to the book of Obadiah, there's one chapter, Obadiah 1:1. It says, or 1:3. It says, the pride of thine iniquity, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And that's what you have going on. We're witnessing the Lord harden a man's heart. We witnessing Yahweh Shem Yahushua harden the heart of the modern day Pharaoh like he did to the ancient Pharaoh, right? And they didn't have computers back then where they could point this stuff out and show. Not that I know of. They didn't have an internet where the prophets could wake up and look at it and then tell the people what's going on. But now we actually really see it. It says, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, and we know that that's their favorite bird. They love that eagle. And though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, your space stations, your military weapons, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So right there, it's telling you that they already lost. They can never win. They can never win. It's never going to be any. There's no like Doctor Strange. Brothers ever watch the Avengers, man? He gonna add Tony Stark asks, I believe what Tony Stark asks Doctor Strange, hey, what did you see? He said millions of different scenarios. He said, which one of those, how many of those did we win? And he said one. He said one. And I was like, nah, nigga, you ain't win. No, there's no scenario that you could put together where the Edomites is gonna win. There's no scenario. I don't give a shit what you do. You can try to act like you want to go back in time, you still ain't gonna win. You're gonna lose. If you go into the future, you're gonna really see your loss. But you don't even need to do either of those things because it's already written. You're done, son. Shalom to the elder from GMS North Carolina, man. Shalom, brother. Elder Yakinan posted Ezekiel 36:2. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient places are ours and in possession. And that's right on time, brother. Because that's exactly what he said right here. Jerusalem is our city. It is forever our city. It will never be divided again. Right? Who are you to say that? You're not no God. You're a man. Right? And you owe this shit. And you're dying. As you live, you're dying. But he's not speaking for his own self. He's speaking the mind and the mouthpiece of the elite. But a lot of them are fucking passed away in the spirit world right now. Right? They think they're gonna keep coming back to water wrung out. This is it for you, man. Jacob Rothschild took his ass to the spirit world. He found out your ass is mine. I ain't done with you by far sight. Like, I don't know if brothers ever seen House Party and kid try to get in the bed at the end of the movie. And he said, not yet, not just yet. I ain't done with you. And he started whooping his ass, man. When he about to get in that bed and lay down and then comfort, that ass getting beat butt naked. Ezekiel 36:3. Therefore, to prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. And that's exactly what you're seeing going on, right? We made an infamy of the people on the earth. Let me read that in the NLT. That's Ezekiel 36:3. Ezekiel 36, I think it was already there. Ezekiel 36 and 3. I think that was it. Yeah, Ezekiel 36 and 3. Therefore prophesy. Ezekiel 36 and 3. Thus saith the Lord, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen. Ye are taken up in the lips of talkers and are the infamy of the people. And you read that in the, let's read that in the NLT and the AMP. It says, therefore, son of man, give the mountains of Israel this message from the sovereign Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai. Your enemies have attacked you from all directions, making you the property of many nations and the object of much mocking and slander. Right? And the AMP says, therefore, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, for good reason they have made you a desolation, and they crush you from every side, so that you will become in possession of the rest of the nations. And that's exactly what's happening. From the people of Israel, even to the land. And you have become the talk and the whispering of people. Right? It's so true, brothers. It's so true. Verse 4, it says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities thereof that are forsaken, which became prey and a derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about, which are all these nations that are scattered today. They were all around us. Edom, the so-called white man, including Amalek, Ammon, Moab, Japanese, so-called Chinese. What was that? The Assyrians, I forget what their name was, but Assyrians, right? Who else? Oh, the Philistines, the Hamites, and them dirty ass Arabs, man. They were all around us, bro. Right? They gonna get it. You gonna get it. Right? Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, against all Idumea, which have appointed my land in their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. And that's exactly what this is. When you see these people in our land is bearing the shame of the heathen. But nonetheless, the stage for World War III is being set. And as much as they try to deny that Albert Pike and Manzini plan, as much as they try to deny the scriptures, most importantly, try to deny the scriptures, everything is happening as planned. That's why we ain't trying to jump in front of none of this. We're not trying to stop prophecy. If anything, we hastening it. We cheering it on. Because this is the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And these people, I got the last precept right here, Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, that he have taken against Babylon. Babylon is America. And his purpose, that he have purpose against the land of the Chaldeans, which is also America. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So it's no surprise that America is joined up with the state of Israel. It's no surprise, because these mofos, they're gonna bring America into the war, and America wants to go to war with them. They brought. He even said, Netanyahu, right? The Wodiwo, Wodiwo. He said that the Congress is bought and paid for. They got everybody in their pockets. He said that a long time ago, right? So in reality, these people they vaunt themselves at their so-called ally, right? They vaunt themselves, right? They use their money and their power and influence and the influence and backing of the super elite to do what they want to do, but this is all going to steer them into the war of wars to end all the war to end all wars. Yeah, I saw that video. The elder said he also tried to claim patrimony heritage, and I had looked that up on ChatGPT, and I asked if they're a matriarchal society, if they believe in a matriarchal identity via that. If your mom's a Wodiwo, then you're a Wodiwo, right? But then when it comes to the land, that goes back to the father. It don't make no sense, bro. That don't make it make no sense. So ChatGPT gave me some clarity on that, but they basically use both. They use the matrilineal and the patrimony. They only use the patrimony. They whip that patrimony out when it's talking about the land. But when you talk about becoming a Wodiwo or being a Wodiwo, your mom's got to be a Wodiwo. But that's not in the scriptures. And even ChatGPT said that. ChatGPT knows the truth. We know the truth, right? You are what you are according to your father, right? You are what you are according to your father. This is the brother. He brought it out right there. He brought a whole. I'll start at 16 since he brought it out. Numbers 1 and 16. These were the renown of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their fathers, heads of thousands of Israel, because that's what make you an Israelite, what your father is. They don't give a damn what your mother is. We only had one aunt. Aunt Dinah, and she didn't get no tribe. She didn't get no inheritance. She's just an Israelite because she came out of Jacob. But the line went with the fathers. Verse 17. And Moses and Aaron took these men which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls, man. So yeah, brothers, this has been the stage is being set for World War III. These people are going to cause America to be driven into this war, and the Northern Army, the North American Army, is going to be drugged into the Middle East again. And when you look at all of these different proxy wars that happened prior to this, the stage was always being set. They took over Iraq to put a ton of bases over there in Iraq because they're going to come back to them bases. Afghanistan, they're going to go back to Afghanistan because they're going to have bases open there, right? That's Afghanistan is closer to Iran than it is to the state of Israel. So they strategically set it up that way. So when the war break out, they got places to go and they got places to ship off from. Ezekiel 2 and 59. These were they which went up from the top to Media to Harsa, Cherub, Adon, and Emer, but they could not show their father's house and their seed, whether they were of Israel. Because it's always about the father. The father carries the seed. And a lot of the stuff that these small hats at the top do, these woody wolves at the top do, they categorize their family through their fathers. Right? They categorize their families through their father. And they write it down on a ledger. They don't get birth certificates. They don't get social security numbers. They get their books, they put their heritage, they write it down. The same thing we did. And they got that from us. So again, this has been the stage is being set for World War III. Hey, Thawada, to all you brothers and sisters that clocked in with me, man. I know it's late where y'all at, well, early where y'all at, and kind of late where the elder Yakanan is at. But may the Lord bless you, brothers, and keep you, brothers, and keep you, sisters, and give all of us, each and every last one of us that sincerely believe, a double portion of his spirit. Watch over our families, keep our integrity intact. May Yahweh Shem Shai continue to keep his hand and anointing over all of us. With that, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakudash, double honor to the apostles, salutations to the elect. Double honor to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone, salutations to the elect. Keep pushing, keep striving. We're almost out of here. Shalom.